Hello, it's Edmund here on the 20th of March 2015. It's 9:22 in the morning, which means we're about 8 minutes away from a partial eclipse down here being the West Sussex coast in southern England, about 50-60 miles south of London and 15 miles west of Brighton by road. And the last eclipse we had was August 1999, and that was a partial one as well, though totality for that went through Cornwall, which is only about 100 miles westwards of here as the crow flies. And I forget on that occasion what percentage of eclipse we had down here in West Sussex, but the four things I remember are: number one, it was a clear sky, unlike today where it's completely overcast. Number two, it didn't get as dark as I thought it was going to. Number three, the temperature dropped noticeably leading up to it. I didn't even need a thermometer, I could feel it. And last but not least, there were some birds flying around. Don't know if you can see, there's some birds flying around in the sky up there. And as it got dark, they started flying round and round in circles and making some very peculiar, worried sounding noises that I haven't heard before or since. So I'll be interested to see how it compares with today. I've come to this field here, which, as you can see, is a little bit away from some houses, not that far, but a little bit of distance. And the reason I'm here is I've brought my radio with me, my broadcast radio. This is the Sangean ATS 909, the original one, not the X upgrade. And I'm hoping that this location will be even less electrically noisy than my home one. My home location, which is about five minutes away on foot from here, isn't too noisy anyway, but I'm hoping it'll be quieter here still. I did think about going down on the beach, which is just over there, but I thought there might be a bit of wind noise on the camera. If you've watched some of my other videos, you'll notice that they do suffer quite badly from wind noise, and even though on the face of it the wind isn't blowing too much, I thought if I was down on the beach then it would be a lot blowier. So that's the time, 5 minutes or so to go. I could kid myself it's got slightly darker in the last 5 minutes, but nothing to write home about really. I think the sun is that little bit of light up there, but it's too dark to see. Now, the Radio Society of Great Britain outlined a propagation experiment that schools could do by listening to the long and medium wave bands, and that's what I'm going to do. I was going to do something with amateur radio, but the lowest frequency band that I have a decent antenna for at home is 7 megahertz, which is a bit too high, and my antenna is very inefficient even on receive on 80 metres, or worse still 160 metres, so I thought I would have a go at the broadcast one. Now, in case anybody's watching this outside of Europe or the UK, there is the long wave band, which runs from 153 kilohertz to 279, and then there is the medium wave from 531 to 1602, and then the so-called medium wave X band above that, which goes up to 1701, which is inhabited after dark by Dutch pirates. One of the things I'll be interested to see is if I can hear any of them, if any of them are on the air. So, is it getting darker? I don't know really. not any more so than if a heavy thundercloud was over top of us, but we shall see. So I'll start by doing a scan on long wave. On long wave, the stations that are strong are normally strong day and night, and it doesn't really make much of a difference when I'm listening. So that's France Inter on 162, Europe number 1 on 183, Radio 4 long wave on 198, and RTL on 234. RTL, the transmitters in Luxembourg, that can fade in and out more so at night than it does during the day, so it'll be interesting to see if it does that. Radio 4 is at Droitwich in England, Europe 1, the transmitters in Germany, even though the programme's in French, and France Inter, well, the programme is the transmitters in France somewhere, I guess. A couple of minutes away now from the darkest point, supposedly. I've got a seagull up there who's not happy with me, probably. So what will be interesting to see is the gaps. 189 and 207 is Iceland. I've only ever heard that during darkness. And 252 is RTE Radio 1 from Ireland, the Irish Republic. That should have closed by now if RTE's plans had gone through last year, but it earned a reprieve. During the day I can only hear that, but at night it's co-channel with Chaine from Algeria in French. Neither of them are particularly strong. There's a weak station on 270, which I think is the Czech Republic. So I'll start by doing long wave, and we'll start on 153. Now DLF, Deutschlandfunk, has closed, I think, at the start of 2015, but well, there is a voice there, but it is so weak I can't even make out the language. That's France Inter at its usual strength, more or less. Incidentally, that way is west-ish, so the radio is facing east-west. Nothing on 171.
Mathieu Villiers, merci Alain Sirou, consultant scientifique d'Europe 1 à Paris, merci Laurent Cabrol. Walid Beressoul était à Tonneville dans la Manche lors d'Autriche au Palais de la Découverte à Paris. Frédéric Michel dans les jardins de l'Observatoire de Strasbourg. Et nous, on était ici en direct.
That's about its usual strength. Now, 189 Iceland. That is splatter from Europe number 1. So I'm going to turn this northwards. Can't hear anything at all, what a pity. No, Iceland isn't there, I'm afraid. So we're now more or less at maximum darkness. And if this was just a bog standard cloudy day, if I didn't know the eclipse was happening, then I wouldn't know that anything was up other than a few clouds.
In goes Harvey, pitches up and smoothly played through extra cover again, and that's a wonderful half century to Smith.
So there we are, Radio 4 at its usual strength. That's the long wave opt-out for a test match special, cricket coverage. Don't mention the cricket.
The job is not over, even though he's just completed.
Now 207, Deutschlandfunk did have an outlet there as well. Can't hear anything. So that's RMC from Monaco. Now that, I won't say I've never heard it during the day, but it's normally there and normally stronger at night, so maybe... So maybe that's benefiting from the eclipse. That's a radio controlled clock, incidentally, so that is the exactly right time. Okay, 225 is Poland, I think, or was, unless they've closed it down. I can just about hear something there, but I would say that's pretty average for daytime. It only really comes in at night and it's not that strong then. 234.
Ce rendez-vous entre le soleil et la lune.
Oui, une petite centaine de personnes ont les yeux rivés vers le ciel totalement bleu depuis un petit peu plus d'une heure maintenant. Plusieurs télescopes ont été installés pour que...
Oh, well, they're very lucky wherever that bloke's reporting from, because the sky there is completely blue and clear. Thank you very much. That's RTL. I would say at more or less its usual strength. 243. Incidentally, can you hear that clicking? Now I wonder if that's coming from... I reckon there's an electric fence around here somewhere, so maybe coming out here wasn't such a great idea. I thought getting away from the houses would help. That sounds like an electric fence to me. Never mind.
Website, this is where the BBC is filming live, and you can see the eclipse.
Now here's an interesting one.
BBC Stargazing Live for that link.
That's RTE Radio 1.
You can actually see it dimming now. It's actually very noticeable, and the wind has picked up, so actually it's become very exciting.
Oh, good, yeah. We'd love to be there with you this morning, but you would just have to rely on your report from the village of Aya. Now we're headed close.
But if I now turn this round southwards, the French voice is Algeria. Now that is unusual to hear Algeria during the day, so I would say that is the first real concrete effect of the eclipse that I've heard. So Algeria on 252 is there, which normally I would only hear at night, so we have a result of sorts. 261 is always empty. 270. Nothing there really. Again, it's not particularly strong at night. 279 used to have a Russian thing on it, again very weak. Only audible at night. I have to be a bit careful, you see, because the radio can hear the camera. But there's nothing obvious on there. And then this is our local non-directional beacon at Shoreham, SHM, which is pretty much the same strength day or night because Shoreham's only a few miles down the road. and it's not particularly strong. Right, so that's long wave. Let's go down onto medium wave. Now, during the day, obviously the English stations are quite strong. A few French ones are as well. Some of the stations of Radio France are actually on strike today, which is really bad timing for eclipse coverage on France Info. But after dark, virtually every channel has something on it, and there's loads and loads and loads of Spanish stations, so I'm not familiar with every frequency on medium wave in quite the way I am with those on long wave, but the way to tell if the eclipse is having an effect here is if the band suddenly is full of Spanish stations and every frequency is occupied. If there are gaps, and if you don't hear any or many Spanish voices, then it's not making much of a difference. Incidentally, you know, I said earlier on about something I noticed in 1999 was that the temperature dropped. I haven't noticed that quite so much here. I think it's cold and dank and cloudy and a bit damp and horrible anyway. So again, I don't know if anything is really kind of attributable to the eclipse. 9:38 now, and I wouldn't say it's much darker than it was when I started, so really, if it wasn't that I knew the eclipse was happening, I would just say it's a cloudy day and we've got thick cloud over us, which we have as well. 85% of the sun being covered sounds a lot, but of course the remaining 15% can pack quite a big punch. I've heard it said, incidentally, that pound for pound the sun puts out the same amount of energy as the compost heap in your garden. It's just that it's very, very, very big. Don't know if that's true. And this is one of those rare occasions where the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon and is 400 times further away, and the Earth, the moon and the sun are all in line. So let's have a little listen around the medium wave. This will be quite quick compared to long wave, because as I say, I don't know what everything is off by heart, but we'll start at the bottom and go all the way up to the top, including all the way up through the X band, so-called.
ويمد له يد العون في كل ما يحتاج ويقف معه في الشر والنوائب التي قد تصيبه.
That's a station in London, used to be called Spectrum Radio for many years, isn't anymore. That's Smooth Radio in Kent.
Il nous redonne quelque part le courage du citoyen en nous disant que ce monde nous appartient.
That's the Belgian French service. That's about average signal strength for daytime.
Ils font peur aux grands.
Ouais, ça s'appelle de Yes Men. En de zoon is verheerlijkt in de vader. De heerlijkheid, ja, die heerlijkheid is geen proefje om.
Dutch station again, roughly average for this time of day.
Nikki is back in the studios in London, but Nikki...
Local station, 5 Live from the broadcast mast at Shoreham.
David, how was it for you?
It's been terrific, actually. It could have been a lot worse, but we've seen plenty of small snatches of the sun in gaps, so yes, very, very worthwhile. A lot of people here, huge amount, maybe 300 or 400 people, I don't know. Fantastic.
Oh, lucky you.
Même la peau de bête semblait de mauvais poil, pas de doute, on est bien dans la maison des ronchonchons là. Jean-Pierre. Sont les petits constatants excédés.
That's possibly a bit stronger.
Bernard Vénère lui dit, je te l'avais dit, faut pas que tu t'étonnes, t'achètes ton vin chez...
Radio 4 in London. BBC Essex. Oh, great song. Great song, Percy Sledge, When a Man Loves a Woman, on whatever station that is. That's about the same strength as normal. Germany, now when I visited Braunschweig a few years ago, I think I drove past the transmitter site for that place, so that's northern Germany, I think. BBC Essex, not Option Musique from Switzerland that closed a few years ago. BBC Radio Kent, about average. Now 810 is Scotland.
Oh, who's that?
I'm Steve Sangean. I'm phoning from South Romilly North.
Steve, I'm sorry, I'm on an internal messaging system that I'm just getting to grips with here. So that's Steve. So tell me, what's it like? Where are you at? What's it like?
Yeah, right. I'm right at the...
Probably about average.
At any time and enjoy the picturesque villages, towns and countryside.
That's Smooth Radio in Dorset. France Bleu in Paris, that's one I listen to, about average for daytime.
Yeah, you get an effect like...
BBC Radio Wales, again about average.
Yeah.
Anyway, anybody around the area now, it really is fantastic to see.
Please, Jean, no.
I won't put my eyes, don't worry.
Please don't. No, your reactor-like repeats are no good here.
That's right.
Thank you, Jean.
Has cured the common colds, I'm afraid.
That's 5 Live as well from Brookman's Park, North London or Fareham.
Time of year, it's in the March morning, so who knows? So.
Smooth Radio East Sussex.
Just £1 each.
Oh, I've no idea what that is. That might be my camera it's hearing, don't know.
Please be true.
BBC Radio Solent, Fareham in Hampshire, about average.
Know when to fold up, know when to walk away.
BBC Radio Jersey, average. I think everything's going to be average, isn't it? No Spanish stations heard yet, and that would be the measure of the eclipse, I think.
When the deal is done, Mr. Cricket.
London station.
And yeah, you guessed it, a kitchen sink. I know everything is there too. They're dedicated.
Talk Sport, local transmitters for a national station.
Choosing the right vehicle.
After 12:30, and it's to do with stitching.
That's BBC Radio Guernsey, about average.
Came from somebody who's completely unreliable.
LBC in London.
And that's completely unfair, and at the end of it, all charges were dropped.
About the same. BBC Sussex will be the next one. Smooth Radio Hampshire, about average. Oh, great song to play today, isn't it? Here Comes the Sun, the Beatles. I suppose somebody had to, didn't they? That would be France Bleu from Lille if we could hear it. That's the local one at Shoreham for Smooth, used to be Gold. BBC Radio Ulster on there, not audible. That's strange, I would normally expect to be able to hear that during the day. Oh well. BBC Sussex. France Info on strike today rather than covering the eclipse. That is really bad, well, bad or deliberate timing, I suppose, depending on your point of view. How about that? That is Chichester Hospital Radio, which is about 20 miles away from here by road. I used to be a volunteer presenter on that station for a decade, and that is a 1-watt transmitter designed to cover the campus of St Richard's Hospital at Chichester, and it's got a very good earth, that's all I'm going to say. Nice. That's one that won't be with us after the end of 2015. Marnac in Luxembourg, that used to carry RTL and Radio Luxembourg, the late great 208. London station, aimed at the Asian community, I believe, was Sunrise Radio for many years. Don't know what it's called these days. Transworld Radio from Monaco, who are closing their English language service at 11 o'clock at night at the end of this month, March 2015, so I won't be able to hear Dick Saunders and Rendezvous anymore. I like their theme tune, that's all I'm going to say. That's local.
Clouds haven't shifted since, but it was still good to see it, just for that fleeting. Can I have a look at that through your digital camera here with the screen on the back, and just describe that for anybody listening at home? So, I mean, we could just about make...
Right. That was local. Gold in London.
It's gonna take time.
So we had the Beatles, now we've got George Harrison. That's France Info from somewhere else. Don't know what that is. And now we're into uncharted territory. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. I've never heard a Dutch pirate station during the day at the top of medium wave, and even at night they're very weak, using just the internal antenna on the Sangean. What time is it now? Well, we're 20 minutes or so past the maximum, supposedly, and it's still not particularly dark. If somebody hadn't told me that there was a solar eclipse happening, I wouldn't have known. I would have just thought there was some cloud, and that goes for long and medium wave as well. Only slight indication at all that anything was happening was that I could hear Chaine from Algeria on 252, but whether that is exclusively down to the eclipse or whether some days it's audible during the day rather than only at night, I don't know. And I would say it's slightly warmer now than it was, but again that could have just been wind chill. So certainly from where I'm standing down on the West Sussex coast in southern England, locator India Oscar 90 Sierra Tango, you wouldn't really know that anything was happening, either visually or down on the long and medium wave bands. And having done this video, I'm going to go home, put the kettle on, and watch stargazing live on TV. So thank you for watching, and I hope that people who enjoy bandscan videos, I know there are quite a few on YouTube, aren't there, of people just doing a scan of the long and medium wave dials where they are. I hope you'll have enjoyed it. If you can fill in any of the gaps below as to what things are that I heard, then or if I've got any of it wrong, then please do, because I'm certainly not an expert on long and medium wave broadcast listening, I'm no Chrissy Brand. Hello Chrissy, if you're watching this. I love your column in Radio User every month. All power to your elbow. Keep up the good work. Right, I'm going home and I'm going to try to avoid that electric fence that I could hear. Actually, maybe I could do a bit of DF. It was on 700 and something, wasn't it? Right, I'm going to DF the electric fence, not touch it, then go home and put the kettle on. Cheers for now.